Hey guys, welcome. Big up to everybody that's already on the stream. Tabasca, Toughman, big up yourself. Malik, O'Shane, Active Gang, Troopsy, Santi, Cindy, Shane, big up yourself. Nigel, big up yourself. KJ, Wagwan Reaction, Food Collab, Shan, big up yourself. Hayden, big up yourself. Who did I miss? Marcino, big up yourself. Mika, big up yourself. Thank everyone for joining us tonight. Our conversation is gonna be a little bit of a sober conversation tonight. Tonight, as you can see, the title. Um, the title says, "I am not crazy," and I hope that would spark a little bit of a conversation. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about mental health. Because after observing certain situations here in our YouTube world, I realize that a lot of people struggle when it comes down to mental health. So today I wanted to shed some light on it and kind of talk about it a little bit more. Mr. In, big up yourself. Hayden, big up yourself. So on the screen we have Samantha and Monique they are social workers. So they work in the field. They're a little bit more familiar with this topic. And then we have Kayla, who has served on different mental health boards at school and stuff like that. And so we're gonna start off this conversation tonight. I'm gonna start off with Samantha, and I want you to just talk about what is mental health? When we talk about mental health, what are we talking about?
Good night, everyone. I feel like when it comes to mental health, like everyone kind of has their own thing. But for me, when it comes to mental health, I feel like it's your overall well-being. Um, you don't necessarily have to have a trauma that you have experienced, but just getting up in the morning, how am I feeling? You know, noticing certain things in your body, what you've been thinking about, and just holistically, because sometimes when we think about mental health, we think about, yeah, I'm doing good, like, I'm in a good job and things like that, but like it's overall, um, it could be work wise, it could be in your personal life, and just other factors outside of that. So when it comes to mental health, for me, it's just your overall well-being in a holistic sense.
Perfect. Monique?
Hey everyone. So mental health, just gonna echo what Sam just said. So mental health is, it's overarching, is the opposite of mental illness, that's for sure. Mental health encompasses your physical health, your emotional health, like it's everything in your life that kind of comes together to make you mentally healthy. If one piece of the puzzle is missing, it can trigger things to get you into a place where mental health is not a reality for you, right? So it's a hard concept to, I guess, but it's just overarching wholeness and wellness in every single capacity you can think of.
Perfect. Anything to add, Kayla?
I don't really have anything to add because mental health is very subjective. It's different for each and every person in how they view it and how they decide to deal with their mental health. So it really is just what works best for you as a person because nobody knows you better than you. So you're going to have to find out, okay, what is my definition of mental health? What does it mean to me? And how do I plan on keeping my mental health intact?
Absolutely. For everybody that's just joining us, Mr. Rain, Teflon, big up yourself. Shane, thanks for that share out. Paul, welcome to the stream. Mika, big up yourself. Thanks everybody. Thanks to all of the gamers for coming over. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to ask the moderators to pay attention to the chat for me, please. This conversation tonight is not a joke. So I want you guys to really pay attention to the chat and what's being said in the chat, as I'm not going to be able to guide everything that's in the chat. Just keep that monitored for me, please. Thank you so much. So mental health is a very broad topic. So let's kind of break it down a little bit. What are the different types of mental health, if you would? What are the different branches that are under mental health?
So I feel like if I can jump in here, I think sometimes people kind of like use just like mental health. So I think what you're referring to, Char, might be like mental illnesses or different like strand, like different types of mental illness. What you're talking about. And so I just happened to do a bit of research, and I know, I mean, some might have and Kayla their own to add to it. But a few things that kind of jumped out at me that I researched before I jumped on here. So depression is one, which has multiple different types, and that's a segment in this whole streaming that we're doing. Trauma related mental illnesses for sure. And just to expound on that, post-traumatic stress disorder is one of them. So for people who are coming back from war, or if you've been, exposed to any kind of severe trauma in your life, whether that's loss or an accident or anything like that, acute stress. And who would think that, right? Like, I think a lot of us, we go through stress in our everyday lives, think about it that way. Impulse control is another one that falls under trauma related. Well, actually, that doesn't fall in trauma, but that's one. Impulse control is one of them. Kleptomania. I learned that today. I didn't know that the act of stealing can be considered a disorder. So there is psychotic ones, which is, I think when we talk about mental illnesses, a lot of people kind of allude to that, which is like, oh, you're mad or you're going crazy. And like that's schizophrenia. There is brief psychotic disorders as well. Then you have personality ones, which narcissistic behaviors, borderline personality, or being paranoid. And then the last one I have here is addiction and substance abuse. So alcoholism and excessive use of drugs is also considered a disorder as well. So, yeah.
Anything to add, Sam?
Yeah, Mo touch majority of them. I just want to add, did you say mood disorders, Mo?
Yeah, that's one of them too. It's
Yeah,
so
mood
exhaustive, right?
disorders.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think there's anxiety disorder, and I know for a lot of people that's one that just goes right across the board for a lot of people, and also eating disorders. And I think when it comes to mental health, like all of this it has to do with the brain. Right, so all of what Money listed, it has to do with the brain, the way how the brain is functioning. Because, like, even right now, for people who have anxiety disorder, just even being here, sitting, doing this live can bring a lot of anxiety, nervousness, trembling in the voice, not even able to function in terms of that. The brain goes offline when you're trying to make a statement. So there's a lot of there's many different types of mental health, and more list a lot. But I think the most common, we know about depression, and as Mo said, that there's a whole category for that, anxiety disorders, PTSD, and also I think OCD.
Yeah, OCD is a big one too, for sure.
Yeah.
OCD falls under anxiety. You're right. And for those of you who would love to go and read beyond the scope of what we're saying, you can look at the DSM-5, which is called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, and it's just a book that helps psychiatrists, who are people who can prescribe medication for those who are having mental health problems. It helps them to prescribe or to diagnose people with different issues. You come in and your body's doing crazy things and you don't understand it. They can go to that book and say, okay, then these are the symptoms you're having. You might have this kind of disorder, and this is what we would suggest to treat it, basically.
Absolutely. Big up to everybody that's now joining us. I won't be able to call everybody's name, but thank you guys for joining us. Big up on yourself. If you have questions, please drop it in the chat. I'll see it and I'll be able to highlight it. Thanks for coming over, Tuckman. Thanks for sending over people as well. Sashi Boo, big up yourself, Gavaska, everybody. So tonight, mental health is such a broad topic. But tonight I want us to narrow in on depression.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about depression. what is depression for somebody who, because a lot of people are sometimes going through depression and don't know that they're actually going through depression. So what is depression?
I don't know if anybody else want to go before me this time, or I can chime in. I don't mind.
No, you can go first. It's okay.
Some signs and symptoms that you wouldn't believe it. Like if you got up one morning and you just didn't feel like brushing your teeth or having a shower. Those are some simple, layman term signs that you will experience, and you can't even rock yourself as to why. We're all going through this pandemic right now, and a lot of people live alone, or a lot of people are just facing other stressors besides the pandemic, and it pushes you and forces you into depression, right? So you might see yourself reacting certain ways to certain things and don't even understand why. And so some of the things that I've seen listed is unexplained crying spells. So you just cry, you can't tell why, you don't know why, you're just crying for whatever reason. Lots of interest in things that normally interested you. If you like to play soccer or play games, and you realize that your interest just completely dropped, and you're just, finding yourself purposeless somewhat, that can be a sign of depression as well. Significant weight loss or weight gain, because some people eat when they're overwhelmed and some people just cannot eat, right? Sleeping too much or sleeping too little. So I think, when it comes down to those two, it's, who you are when you feel like you're at your optimal, like, you're at your best. So you would know when things change, right? Like if you see you're not sleeping or you're sleeping too much, then maybe something, is offline or wrong. If you're being irritable, like you're snapping for no reason, then you probably need to take a step back and check yourself. And if you're just feeling restless, like, just kind of, what restlessness means. So yeah, I think those are some ideas, I would say, that some signs and symptoms rather.
Okay. Samantha?
Uh, yeah, so Monique lists the signs and symptoms, and I'm just going to list just a few of what normally presents itself. Like you have major depression. So major depression is maybe you could it lasts normally like for 2 to 3 weeks, and it could just be you're going through a mood or a phase or something happen, and you're just kind of depressed for a certain period of time. It doesn't last long. You also have manic, which is also considered as bipolar, which that would normally for like 2 years. So you're more the symptoms that Monique talked about, just like constantly, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, you're going through that, and also persistent, which is more longer, maybe up to 5 years. And when it comes to depression, like a single event, a death, with the pandemic, like so many people lost their jobs, the work that I do, like I get a lot of people, experiencing depression because, they lost their job, struggling financially, and, just not having anywhere or anyone to turn to because, all those government funds, it's just, keep running out. So anything, it doesn't have to be any major trauma for you to experience depression. It could be a child not behaving a certain way, and as a mother you have to deal with that. It could be relationship issues. So there's many things when it comes to depression. It doesn't have to be like experience an extreme trauma for you to be depressed.
I actually want to add on to what Sam was saying, because I found a few of them too that I wanted to add on. I think I highlighted them because I think we sometimes overlook these. And I think one of them, the first one, is seasonal depressive disorder, right? And so for
Sad.
people who live in countries like we do, and you have, winter and all that, we have like 7 months of winter over here, and you have the limit side because it's -50 outside and ain't nobody trying to go out there, right? And so you have seasonal depressive disorder. Then you have premenstrual depression. I kind of want to talk about this one
What's it
because
called?
there be
PM.
some men, there be
What's it
some
called?
men that think that we PMSing, but it's actually in the DSM-5. It's actually a thing, and some women have it even more severe than other women. The week or two before your period, it's like you've become a monster. But no, we're not. It's actually a thing. Just to be compassionate with your sisters and your moms and your wives and your girlfriends, please. And then postpartum is another one that's often overlooked. When after you have a child, women sometimes fall into that. And so just, be compassionate if your partner just had a child and, they seem to be off and not acting the way they normally would prior to, try to be a little bit more compassionate.
Absolutely. Kayla?
There's also some things that, well, some symptoms that are not really that, they don't show up as much. So there's also part of the trauma with like traumatic depression where you'll experience some short-term or long-term memory loss, which is not fun, but it happens. It really is it's very broad. There's so many different facets to it. So it's really hard to just pinpoint different types, which is why I highly recommend going and speaking to someone. If you think that something is going on, it's very helpful to go speak to a professional and be like, okay, this is what's happening to me. Let's talk about this and let's figure out what's going on.
Absolutely. So I know, like, when it comes on to the Black community specifically, we tend to be in denial about mental illness because some of us experience it on a daily basis and we have no idea what it is. I don't know if it's ignorance or we refuse to acknowledge the emotions that we are feeling. When it comes down to depression, like you said, it comes in different forms, different ways, and people deal with it in so many different ways. It goes from simply crying to trying to actually hurt yourself,
Yes.
um, which is, that's the extreme. When you start to hurt yourself, then you chemical imbalance, right?
Yeah.
Chemical imbalance, right? Um, So what I wanted to know, when it comes down to the Black community, would you say that depression is the number one mental illness that we suffer from, or which
I
mostly affect us?
I wouldn't say that like depression is like a number one. I feel like there's multiple. And I think, for me, in my opinion, I think that anxiety is really raising in the Black community now, especially with what's going on with, all of the police brutality and things like that, where everybody is just really anxious to even go outside, especially if you live in certain countries. Like, for instance, America. You're afraid to go outside, you're afraid to get pulled over by the police for what, running a stop sign or going outside with something, driving a certain type of vehicle that some people might think that you can't afford or can't drive. Just different social biases that just make you anxious. Like, oh, okay, how do I differentiate between I need to treat myself with these things, or, oh, how am I going to treat myself with this without other people looking at me and assuming something else?
Yeah. Um, and I tried to do that. Like I actually looked up journal articles just to see, what was out there in theory as it relates to like which was prominent in our community, in our Black. And I can't say I can pinpoint anything, but I feel like, overarchingly, like depression and anxiety for sure would be something that, and we have so many reasons to feel that way, right? I think one of the biggest thing is the stereotype that exists within our community, first of all. When you speak about, if you open your mouth and say anything about mental health or mental illness, or you're mad, or, or be a man, or this and that kind of stuff, right? So, there's no consideration or education, to be honest, in our community. I wouldn't say none, but there's a lacking of education as it relates to mental illness and scope of it and what that entails and how to look for it and where to go for help and that kind of stuff. And because there's such a stigma, it's like you want to access help, as Kayla just said, and you are fearful in doing so. You don't want to be scapegoated or put aside somewhat to say that something is wrong with you. Nobody wants to feel like something is wrong with them. You know what I mean? It's it's interesting, and the way we have been socialized about mental health. I know for us, from all of us are from Jamaica, and I can speak personally. In my family, there's issues of that, and it is seen as, oh, go on to church, go pray. And I'm not saying, like, I love the Lord and I'm Christian. I understand that that's, you know, a huge part of our culture, a huge part of our well-being. Like spiritual well-being is a big part of mental health as well. Sometimes we have to understand the Bible also speaks about wisdom. It speaks about, God bless people with ability to take care of you. So go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a counselor, or a social worker, go reach out to someone. If I could, DJ, I'm not gonna even try to say the last part.
Okay,
But,
Nigel, Snipe.
okay, just to, respond to your question, you're saying, how do you identify it? Honestly, I'm gonna say this. I can't sit here and say, like, I can teach you how to diagnose these problems. I know what some common signs and symptoms are, which we just discussed. And if you missed that part, you can probably go back and watch the video again. Or I say research, like YouTube. We're on it right now, and it's an amazing resource to find out about mental health conditions or problems and how to identify it and what are some possible coping mechanisms to deal with these things. And also just Google is also an amazing resource to find out what resources are in your area to get the support you might need for any issues that you think you might have based on what you find and from your own research. So.
And I would say that you have to approach it with an open mind and not only be open minded to the problem, but be open minded to the fact that it's not something that's wrong with you, but it's something that you are going to need help for. Like if you feel like you can't handle it on your own, there is absolutely no problem with going and speaking to someone about it. Because you were saying, "Oh, how can you identify the problem?" You can do, as Monique said, as well as finding help from someone else to be like, "Okay, these are my issues. Here's everything that's going on. Can you help me pinpoint what's happening?" Because I feel like there's a huge stigma for people who decide that they're going to go and speak to like a therapist. I feel like it's a huge problem because some people are still under the impression that, oh, you're mad or you're crazy, and they're going to judge you for going and speaking to a therapist when there's nothing wrong with you. You just need extra help. It's the same thing as, oh, I'm feeling I'm feeling sad because I'm under quarantine and it's -50 outside and I haven't left the house in a week. Oh, let me call up my mother or let me call my friend and let me talk to them. It's the same thing, except the person on the other line, the person on the other side of the room can actually help you and be like, okay, this is what I think is happening. Here are some resources. If, for instance, you have to take medication for it, don't feel bad for taking medication for your mental health because, yes, it's the same way you go to the pharmacy and be like, oh, let me go take my vitamins. Let me get this. Oh, I feel like I have a cough. Let me go get some DPH. It's the same thing.
The same thing. I agree. Let me just take a look at the chat. Shannon Morrison, big up yourself. Drugs, active truthfully, Jewel, Miss Brown, buddy, big up yourself. So yeah, like they said, Nigel, when it comes on to how you identify these mental illnesses and stuff, I would say look for something that's out of the norm. If this person because a person can be smiling and still be suffering from depression. A person can be laughing and just giving jokes and cracking up and still be suffering from depression. You can see a person spiral through like 7 different moods in 1 hour, like just looking at them. Even on our YouTube platform, you can look at somebody on the screen and they go through so many different emotions, and you can see that something is just not right. Like there's something happening, there's something deeper than the smile. And honestly, the eyes don't lie. If you really look at somebody and look into their eyes, if you're really in tune with that person, you look into their eyes, you know when something's off. You know what I mean? And you want to encourage a person to seek help because I mean, I'm not a doctor, and if your friend is going through something, you'd want them to seek professional help. You'd want them to seek the resources that they need. So when it comes onto this platform, YouTube, a lot of content creators experience anxiety and they experience depression in the sense that sometimes we do something and we're not necessarily prepared for the criticism and that stuff that comes back at you, how would you advise someone when it comes down to coping with stuff like that? Like, how would you advise them to kind of cope with that in terms of, because it's kind of like rejection. When you get the negative feedback, it's kind of like rejection. Like, how do you still keep a sane mind, kind of, and not just fall into a deep dark hole?
Man, I would say on a business level, because this is a business for a lot of people. A lot of people do this to get, monetized and to get an income from it and to live and to survive. This whole social media world, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you're on YouTube, whatever it is, it, it's a competition. And if you listen to a lot of successful people speak, they will tell you it's not that they didn't have negative comments, right? So, I'm just speaking, from the business side of things right now. It's not that they didn't have negative comments, but you have to choose what you allow in. Right? Number one, you really got to choose what you allow to seep in. People will always have negative things to say. And if you say nothing, they'll have something negative to say. And if you say something, they will, right? So I think just, boundaries for one. And boundaries is not just about physical boundaries around you or, if you're seeing somebody physically face to face in this realm, because, the internet is like, it's one world all by itself. And I feel like you have to create boundaries there as well. So emotional boundaries for yourself, allowing some things to filter through, like, consider your world and their world have some kind of a permeable membrane, or semi-permeable membrane when it comes down to what you allow into your space, because you're feeding them with things. Whatever you're putting on video, you're feeding the world with something. You have something to offer, but at the same time, the world's going to have their opinion too, right? And so just having healthy boundaries, emotional boundaries for yourself. The negative comments will come. It's not that you're going to ignore them all the time. And I would say self-care is paramount. It is paramount, very important, I would say. Know what fills your cup. So doing this work, I'm sure like all of us get up and we go to our jobs every day. I'm sure it's not easy to, make content and to sit down for hours and edit and post and entice people. I think it's a lot of work, right? To, to entertain people. I think it is a lot of work. It's a job in itself. And so I think the importance of self-care needs to be exemplified. So when you're off screen, what are you doing for you? What fills your cup up? People are pouring out their own energy at you on screen and all that stuff. But behind closed door, you got to fill your cup up to be able to deal with all the mess, which is reality that happens in this world. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to add to what Mo was saying. You have to know what you let in. And just understand that people will always have things to say, good, and bad, but don't let someone negative comment behind a computer screen, behind a phone, dictate what you do, take over your life in such a way that when you turn off the screen, you're going to your bed, you're thinking about it, it stops your daily life. And I think coming to the social platform, you kind of have to put on a little thick skin and just know that sometimes people would say things, but at the end of the day, you know who you are, right? They don't know you. They're just seeing you through the computer screen and making assumption about who you are. People would say, oh, your wig could have been better. I don't like that color lipstick. I don't like the shoes and all of that stuff, which is nonsense. And I think a lot of people behind um, you know phone and laptop, they portray a lot of times the things that they're not pleased with about themselves onto other people. So don't take it personal. And as Monique say, self-care. So yeah.
Kill.
I personally, for me, I feel like on social media, yes, you are portraying parts of yourself and you're putting yourself out there, so to speak. But it's also a platform that you built and you do have some control over your platform. I am 100% under the impression that I can block any and everybody that I want. Like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And that's the thing about social media. Like, you can just make a profile, make a new email that it doesn't have your name, it doesn't have anything, can't trace it back to you. Make a profile and just go under somebody comments and just reel out all of your insecurities on them, just project everything. And I feel like social media gives some people this false sense of confidence where they think that they can come on and just down somebody else to make themselves feel comfortable. So they just come onto your platform to hate on you. And most of the time, it's for absolutely no reason because it's not anything that you did. It's just that they're a hateful person. So I think that for me personally, I would just make sure that my space and my platform is just like how I portray myself out in the open. I wouldn't bring anybody who I know has negative things to say about me onto my platform. So if you come on here and you said that you want to just insult my forehead, tell me that my forehead's so big I can land a plane on it, I'm gonna block you. Because what is the point? What was the point? If we're not talking about my forehead, why are you giving your 2 cents? Nobody asked you for your opinion, especially a negative opinion that you know is gonna hurt somebody else. So take full control of your platform. Don't be afraid to block people because, oh, I have this many subscribers and I want to keep it up. Don't keep negativity in your space just so that you can pass off appearances like, oh, I have this many subscribers, this many followers, whatever. Make sure that your social media space is cleansed of negativity so that when you come on there, it can also pour into your cup, as Monique says. It can be a place where you can come on and have fun and, just be yourself.
You
And
know,
the funny part about it is that 90% of the stuff that they say, they post underneath your post, they wouldn't dare say to your face.
That's what I'm saying, a false sense of confidence, because you know that I can't thump you in your face over the computer.
Silence, Kayla. We were trying to be good here.
No, but that's the thing. I cannot stand when people do it because what is the point? What are you gaining from bringing somebody else down? Absolutely nothing. You are not building up your own self-confidence by bringing down somebody else. So what's the point?
But Kayla, that's a real thing, and I'm sure you guys have heard this probably in many different realms that people do that. People talk people down and try to tear people down because they get that false sense of building themselves up. So if they think that you're less than they are, it means that they are somewhat in their mind somewhere up here. It's so funny you were talking about like people just ranting on and just saying negative crap. So an artist back home broke up with their partner some time ago. And this artist now went out, you guys probably will know who I'm talking about by the story, went out and took a picture with God knows if it's a fan or whoever it is. And I was just curious. I went under like this picture, it's this page, like a Jamaican page, and they posted the artist and the person that they're hugging. And they stripped her to the dirt about her hair, her clothes. I'm like, how is that even relevant? Everybody have an opinion on your life and they're not in it. They're not walking a day in your shoe, but everybody have an opinion. Seriously. Like, I find social media quite phony. It is to me very phony. You can tell on your page, sometimes you'll post something and it's positive and you might get 2 or 3 likes. And then you post something that's ratchet and you get 50. You know where people energy is at. You get what I'm trying to say? So to soak it up, I think it's a disjustice to ourselves to sit there and be like, yeah, them semi before it can take place. So,
Done.
What I realized with social media, bad has become the new norm, with meaning it's good. So anything positive, uplifting, it doesn't get as much likes or views or even information that would be beneficial for people to read or to know. Even if right now we post, types of mental illness and types of depression and what you can do, and all of that, it wouldn't get a lot of likes. But post something about 2 girls fighting, just all those stuff. It goes viral.
Mm-hmm.
it's true.
It spreads faster.
Yeah, look at your videos. Like, come on. Like, sure, you're in this world, right? So look at your videos. The caption that you put there has to be catching for somebody to stop and want to look at your videos to begin with. So look at that. You have to already create this sense of, okay, I got to catch your attention, right? Before you even, so if you truly put on this video what we were really talking about, just imagine how many people would actually show up and say, what is she talking about, right?
You have to build a curiosity. That's the only way you get people to come over, if you build a curiosity. Because I'm
Absolutely.
like, I'm not crazy. What is she talking about? Like, you know what I
Exactly.
mean? I think Nigel had something up here that I missed. Sashpin, big up yourself, member of the screen. KK, big up yourself. Active gang in the building. I think Nigel asks, when there's an occurrence, when somebody is going through something, when there's an act, when they're going through trauma or whatever, he's saying that, we don't have time to research it. So, you know, what what do we do if we see somebody in visible distress? Like, what do we do? We can't diagnose it, of course, but what do we do?
Yeah.
I
So if
think
you see someone invisible, so you're speaking about trauma specifically, and
Depression or trauma, anything.
yeah, there's so many different. Yeah. Oh my
I
gosh.
think
Again,
I
you know what? You know what, Nigel? This is what I will say. If you see this is a friend that you know, or somebody that you know, a family member that's really close to you, you know who they are. You know who they are when they're seemingly okay. You know, they had a job, things are going well. They're not going through a breakup. You know, they're not going through any life stressors. So once that shifts, you will see it. Like, you'll know, because their attitude is different. So if they were chirpy, they become more, secluded. Or if somebody's too happy too, please pay attention, because sometimes people put on a front, right? They laugh and they're overly excessively happy, and behind all of that they're suffering, right? So if you see a friend that's just acting out of character, I'd say, check in with them, like, hey, are you okay? And don't be shy in saying so, and saying, sometimes I think too, you don't want the friend to say to you, man, like, oh, you ask me, Sarah, why are you asking me? Like, I'm not crazy or whatever. Like, like, I'm good. But, it's your due diligence, I think, as a friend or somebody that is close to that person. It's your due diligence to check in on them and to make sure that they're okay. It's hard to say to you, okay, look for this symptom or that symptom or whatever, because there's a variety of things that people go through on the daily, that for us to sit here, it will take us a whole year to do a series on this one topic. But the people that are closest to you. You know when they're acting out of sorts or they don't seem like themselves, right? I have a friend that I live pretty close to, and I visit her all the time. If I don't go see her, let's say for 2 weeks, she knows something is wrong, because that is not like me. You know what I mean? So I think just paying attention to the small things that people generally do that might shift or change or reposition, then you know that something isn't right.
Absolutely.
yeah. I just want to add to what Monique is saying. I think another thing that you can look at to identify is when they're making end life statements, like saying that they're better off, dead, people, like they're not comfortable in their own skin, or talking about, giving away their assets, and just for no reason, doing unusual things that make you think. And a lot of times, when they're doing that, making end life statement, they're thinking about suicide. And sometimes as friends, you kind of sense something, but you don't want to be the one to say, to ask, because as Monique say, why are you asking me that? I'm not crazy. So I think in that case, if you have a friend, or even for yourself, you realize that, I've been overeating, or I've just been sleeping, I have low moods. You know yourself, you know your friends. So I think the best thing to do would to seek out help. Is there any counseling agency nearby, that you can seek out, get the number for them, sit down and talk to them. Yeah, you won't know all the symptoms, but you just know when something is not wrong, not wanting to go out anymore, giving away all their items. So there are just some things that definitely you can identify with.
Sure.
There's
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Killa. I'm just rude.
go ahead.
No, it's okay. I don't want to lose your time. I'll remember what I'm talking about. It's segueing onto a subtopic of what Sam just said. So it's okay.
Okay. As well as I feel like another kind of, if it's you that's going through the occurrence, if that's what you're asking, because I think that's what I got from your question. If it's you that's going through the occurrence, like you feel some type of way, you get up, you're just like, you don't have the energy to do anything, and it's not really like you, like you have to get up, you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get out of this bed. I just want to stay in this bed forever. If your chest is hurting you and you feel anxious and everything, I think the best thing that I can recommend for you to do is to just take a step back and try to calm down. Do things that you would like. So, for instance, if you have like a television show that you like to watch and that makes you feel relaxed or calm, you can lie down and watch that in some free time. And you like to do things like paint, or all of the gamers on here who like to go and play video games. That's also a form of self care as well, where they can sit down and be like, all right, because I know that for my partner, his way of dealing with his problems is either talking about it or going to go play Xbox. So that is also a form of self care. Like if you feel like something is wrong with you and you just don't have the will to do anything, but you can muster up some energy to go and do something that, will, again, using Monique's words, pour into your cup and make you feel better, then that is what you can do if you are in the occurrence and you don't have the time to be researching, okay, what is going on? What is wrong with me? You can go get something to eat, get some comfort food, sit down, watch some TV, get a blanket, do a face mask for the ladies, video games, or read a book, stuff like that you can do. And then eventually you can probably build up the courage to go and talk to somebody about it. But in the moment, those are things that you can do.
Absolutely. Anil, thanks for joining us. Devon, thanks for joining us. Trisha, thank you for joining us. London boy, big up yourself. Tough man. Go ahead, Monique.
So I just kind of wanted to segue onto so a topic that is seemingly taboo also in our group here, not group, but you know what I mean, like as Black people, is suicide. And Sam just brought it up. I think it's an important topic to kind of touch on, because when you have severe depression, from my understanding and knowledge and experience, that's something that can lead to suicidal ideations. And so I kind of want to stress that there is a lot of people, all of us at some point, have thought that a life problem is too much and you just don't want to deal with it anymore. There's a difference between so suicidal ideation is it's on a spectrum, right? You can be having thoughts and you can have, attempted it, and some people are successful. So when you're having suicidal ideations, these are some things, Sam mentioned some of them that you can, look out for in yourself and in other people. So you seem to be getting your affairs in order. You want to give away your stuff. You're thinking about life insurance and all these things that are just kind of out of your norm. And you just want to, get things, all the boxes checked off because you have some kind of plan, right? If you're having suicidal thoughts, like that's, the first thing I just said, having end of life thoughts, and you're thinking you have a plan to do so as well. So having thoughts is one thing, but then having a plan to execute it is a whole other level as well. So if you're saying to yourself, man, I could probably go jump over that house, or I could probably go take these pills, or there's a rope there, there's a gun there I have access to. These are plans that you're actively making to, take your own life. And I will say this, if you think that someone in your circle might be at risk of committing suicide, don't skirt around the issue. Ask them plain straight up, are you thinking about killing yourself? Right? Because sometimes we skirt around, hey, are you thinking about harming yourself in any way? And because we're shy. No, be straightforward, be blunt, and be honest, because that's your way of caring about these people. What else did I say? And if you find yourself saying a lot, oh, I'm tired, I'm just, I can't be bothered, I just want to give up. Those words of just complete hopelessness, then you want to check in with yourself or the people around you. That those might be reasons why, those might be reasons, or I guess symptoms of suicide. You get what I'm trying to say? And then to jump on to piggyback on what Kayla was saying about self-care, and Nigel, to just jump back to your question as well. So if you find yourself in a space one day and you know what, you're listening to some gospel music, or you're listening to some old school reggae, some Bob Marley, in a good mood, that is the perfect time to set a plan. If you are down one day, what are you going to do? So for me, I love to journal. I love to write. I'd say write a list down of things, as Kayla said, that builds you up. Maybe that's going for a walk. If you live in Jamaica, maybe you're, go by the beach one early morning and just chill by yourself. Listen to the ocean slap the sun, or whatever works for you. Maybe, that's reading a book. Maybe it's playing video games. Maybe it's watching Netflix. Maybe it's going to get ice cream, whatever it is for you. List a few things that build your spirit up. So when you're really in a space of man, you're in this slump and you don't know what to do. I'm not going to say it's easy and you're always going to refer back to that list, but at least you have done something tangible to know when you're in that headspace, what are some things that you can do, right? So, you know, it's difficult when you're in that space. Just think of what fills your cup up. But before you get to that space, if you have that that's what you call it, the privilege of making a list, actually sitting down and making a list of the things that you do to fill your cup up. Some people might say, boy, you know, I can't. For some people, a massage is it. Some people can't afford that. For some people, you know, as I said, some people you might live as close as, I don't even know where to say in Mobile right now. Or if you live in Kingston or wherever, you can just walk to the beach. Maybe that's your solution. Or maybe, you know what, there's somebody that you love to talk to. Maybe your auntie around the road, or, you know, your cousin up the street, and every time you talk to them, they give you a good vibe. Maybe that's what you need in that moment, right? So it's just knowing who and what to access when you're in that space of just complete hopelessness.
Agreed. Big up KJ, OG. Thank you for joining us. Anything to add?
Um,
Anybody?
I, I just want to add to what Monique was saying. I think one of the big things too when you're going through depression is knowing who to talk to, because you don't want to go and have a conversation with someone that is, yeah, you might trust them, but then you express your thoughts. Maybe you are thinking about suicide and you're open enough to even say that you're thinking about suicide, and then the next morning the whole community is gossiping, right? So knowing who to talk to, because that can make the situation even more worse, um with going through. And sometimes it just take a single thing. Right now in this pandemic, it doesn't take anything at all, because I don't think we can take any more um, of what we've been going through since last year. So just knowing who to confide in, I think is vitally important, because I have experienced that already. Just saying something to someone, and then you expect that should be confidential, and they went and
Shared it.
gossip about, yeah, shared it. um and why I say it can be detrimental, because if you are going through something, and yes, you may get over that, if the next time you're going through something and you really need help because of that first experience that you have, you might not want to say anything at all. So just knowing who, and I know we all are friends and we know who, but just trying to sift out, um who can I talk to about this that will really listen, and really, check on me, and I think sometimes, when you're going through depression and you're going through, life difficulty, that's when you really know, who are my true friends, who will be there for you, knowing that you can't get up out of the bed, you're not able to cook, you don't want to eat, they'll come get you out of the bed. You need to get your out of the bed, make you a meal, come and chill with you for a day, like doing things like that. Because sometimes you think you have friends, oh yeah, yeah, man, you will get over it soon, man, and all of that. But
Yes.
you need that physical, you need someone to come and get you, because people don't understand, like, why get up and bathe, go get up and take a shower, but they don't understand that it's the brain, and when you're in that low mood, you can't think, and sometimes you have to be on medication to get you out. A lot of people kind of shy away from medication, but I have to take medication. I suffer from depression. I have PTSD, and I know, because I have had it for years. I know when I'm in a bad mood. I know when I need medication, and I'm not ashamed about that, because a lot of people don't like to say, oh, I've experienced this, and I know sometimes some things are private, but knowing that, yeah, I'm a social worker, but that doesn't make me immune from, experiencing certain things, going through certain things in life. But just knowing how to go about that for me has been beneficial. And I have supportive, people in my life that I can trust, even though from that one incident, I didn't take that away at first. I thought, like, you know what, never again. But I realized that at the end of the day, that won't benefit me. So I've built up the courage, and now I'm in a better place, having people who I can talk to. And when you have friends, it's good to even have a conversation with them to say, hey, you know what? I suffer from depression, or I suffer from bipolar, or PTSD. And every now and again, because sometimes there's traumatic events in our life that we every now and again we might have flashbacks, have trigger. But if you have a conversation with that friend and they know that, okay, Sam has experienced this, or Mo has experienced this, Kayla has experienced this, once they know, okay, it's that time of the year, or okay, I know, because you've had that conversation with them, that can help. But again, it takes special people to be in your life and to do those things for you.
Yeah. Man, I just got so much I want to add. I'm sorry. This is like kid in a candy store on this topic. Sam made a vital point when she talked about be careful who you share your story with. Some people in your life, let me tell you, they're just there because it's a story for them to listen to, and it's something for them to gossip about. It's not that they care. They don't, a lot of them really don't care, a lot of people. So I always say keep your circles tight and small and know who your people are, because the truth is, working in my profession, I have come to understand, and through my own life experiences, when someone discloses to you that they have, they're struggling with any kind of mental health problems, or they've had suicidal ideation, the way that you, the first contact, deal with that disclosure will determine the rest of their healing journey. So if you chose to snap, or oh my gosh, how could you, or whatever, then the trust is completely lost. And you might have been their first stop and their only hope to life, and a life of healing, or to life at all. And you did something or said something that completely threw them off. I'm not saying everybody should be a therapist in life and know, how to be an active listener. But I think we really have to try and practice that in our lives. And really just be attentive and be present when people come to you and try to talk to you about stuff. Be present. And if you can't be present, be honest. Just say, you know what, I'd love to pay attention right now, but I can't, right? Because if you don't, it's a disjustice, and you're just hurting that person more than anything, right? If you cannot be present, just be honest about it. And I think that's integrity. If you cannot be there, be present, and be consistent, then at least try to be integrous, right? And just say, you know what, I'm not sure I have the time to do this right now, but maybe talk to so and so or whatever, right? But try to be present and to be there for people. Yeah. Sam said something else at the end, and I kind of don't remember what it was, so I'm just gonna keep it for myself.
I know Kayla is going to chime in. Before Kayla chimes in, I just want to say, when you ask somebody how they're doing, listen to the answer.
Make sure you have the time
That's
to
what I was
ask.
going to chime in and say.
Yeah. Make sure you have the time. Don't be like, how are you doing today? Like people in these, like, how are you doing today? Oh, I am
No,
good.
it's the people who come to you and be like, "Oh, you're good," and don't want to hear don't want to
They
hear answer.
keep it moving, right? Like, no, don't ask somebody if they're okay if you're not willing to stop and to listen to the response, right?
And
Because
don't ask somebody if you're
You know what I've realized, and even sometimes I realize I do it too. When someone asks you, "How are you doing?" and you might be having a bad day, just having a bad day, and you just say, I'm good," and it may not be that you're not able to talk to that person. You can, but I feel like sometimes you're just like, "I'm good, I'm good, everything okay," because like we're just programmed to say it until we talk, when I feel like it reached the final stage when now we need to let out. But we always say, "Yeah, I'm good," even when we're not good. But as
it's,
Mo say,
it's a
having
knee-jerk
the time,
reaction. It's a
yeah,
knee-jerk reaction when somebody says, "How you doing?" "Oh, I'm good." Like, without even like thinking the word.
yeah, and then second thought, no, I'm having a bad day.
True.
Girl.
You know what? Lately, I've been saying that. When people text me like, "How are you?" I said, to be honest, this is how I'm feeling, but I'm managing. But this is how I'm truly feeling right now. And just to kind of go back to what Sam said, I just want to say, thanks, Sam, for being vulnerable and sharing that, because I was thinking about this whole conversation that we're having. And sometimes, we're talking here, and we could talk till we're blue in the face. And somebody else is going to do a video next week, next year. And when Bell Let's Talk come around again, we're going to talk about mental health. And then we're going to move on with our lives. And it's not going to be something we talk about every single day, right? And I think one of the ways to make things better is to normalize the conversation, right? And so it's normalized in our own lives, the things that we struggle with, and share that with the people that we are around, that we trust. Because sometimes the world just needs to hear your story. Somebody out there on here needed to hear Sam say that and be like, yo, like she went through that. Like, it's okay. It's okay to go through that. You know, Kayla said earlier, we're talking about therapy. I have a therapist, and I'm okay with that because I,
Me too.
support people in my work
For
every
me,
single week. Sometimes 10 to 15 people with multiple different stories. And it affects you sometimes. If you're human and you listen to those stories, it will affect you. And on top of that, you have your own personal, I have my own trauma from childhood. I have my own trauma, since I've moved to a new country and, trying to, get settled here and all that stuff. It's not, none of us are immune to that stuff, but you have to be okay with realizing when you're no longer, we'll talk about window of tolerance here, when you're no longer in your window and you need someone to step in to help you broaden that window. And just to kind of talk about the window of tolerance, I let Sam, I think it's Sam's baby, but it really is, you can have, is it hyperactivity and hypo, Sam? So hypo is like depression and you're feeling sluggish and you're feeling down. And hyper, another thing too, when it comes down to suicidal stuff, if people that are normally shy and quiet, and all of a sudden they want to go to Dover and drive race cars, or they want to jump out of an airplane, you have to really wonder what's happening. So people can be choosing to do, random aggressive things like hyperarousal, or they're angry all the time and you're wondering, okay, what's going on here? It could mean that some trauma in their life have affected what you call the window of tolerance. So up here is hyper and you're like overly agitated, you're going, or you're busy. And then down here, you're in a slump. But in the middle, in here is where you function, is where resiliency lives, is what I call it. And so when, things happen every day in our life, but when you're able to be like, you know what, I had a crappy day yesterday, but tomorrow is a new day. That's your ability to keep yourself in your window. But once you believe, you've realized, okay, I've lost that ability, it's okay to seek help. It really is okay to seek help.
I agree with you. And we talk about we're talking about, and I'm getting emotional because I'm just an emotional person. Um, but like it strikes a chord when, because I know when I ask my friends, are you okay? It's a genuine ask. I don't want you to just be like, hey, I'm okay, and just keep it pushing. No, if there's something wrong with you, tell me what's wrong with you. Even if I can't help, even if I literally can't help or take the pain away, I am there as a sounding board. You know what I mean? So listen to your friends. If they say they're not okay, listen, and don't say toughen up, or you're bigger than that, or can't make that stress you out and stuff like that. Like, actually listen to them, and listen with attentively, and try to understand. Don't just listen to react and respond. Listen to try to understand what they're going through and try to help them out.
Yeah. And you know what? Something just popped in my head. Can we talk to our men, our Black men, brothers? We love you. We truly, truly love you as your queens. We love you. But this stigma that is out there about speaking about your feelings, it has got to go. It really has got to go. Like, I think it's old, and you must have a virgin you can talk to. If you're not feeling yourself, you have to have a virgin, or your mom, or somebody, or your sister, somebody that cares about you that you can talk to. Society teaches men that they have to be tough and you have to be resilient and you have to be the provider. It's okay to be weak. It's okay to cry. It's completely okay. And we're so quick sometimes to hand people a box of tissue and say, stop crying. We're so quick to do it because you know what, sometimes people's tears and their discomfort makes us uncomfortable for whatever reason, and we try to shut them up. But as I said, our brothers, man, like, we love you guys, and there has to be somebody that you can talk to. And if there's nobody in your life, that you feel like you can talk to, there's a professional that is willing to listen to what you have to say and try to give you some kind of coping mechanism to move to the next day, and then the next day, and the next day. Yeah, like, I think it's important that we speak on that, because it's not just us women, like me, you, Kayla, and Sam could sit here and talk about stuff forever. Shar, we could talk about it forever, but I find that our men have way much more difficulty speaking about these things, and they're not allowed the room and the space to do so, and it's important that we provide that for them. And I think a part of that is letting them know that you can, it's okay for you to, it really is okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's a societal thing that we're going to have to try to dismantle the whole stigma against men expressing their emotions and being vulnerable, because it really is pushed in society to the point where we have all of these mental health things. And I can say a handful of times, and most of those times have been on our live streams about mental health or podcasts, where people are talking about like men expressing themselves in mental health or like male mental health, because I feel like they think it's, oh, mental health is this girly thing, like men can't have depression, men can't do this, men can't do that, because they're supposed to be seen as like the head of the household, and they're supposed to be like stoic, like the same things that happen to us don't happen to them. Like they don't get depressed by moving to another country and being in the snow and locked up in the house. Like they're not depressed by, something happening. If you go to a funeral, the men must be there standing up strong, holding on to their wives or mothers or daughters and all of those people, and everybody else a ball and them not supposed to have ball. Like I feel like it's a thing that we're going to really have to start working on and start talking about, because it does need quite a bit of work to just remove the stigma against men expressing themselves. Like it's to the point where some people are visibly uncomfortable if they see a man like crying, or some people are just genuinely shocked if them see them like close friend from 15 years just like open up. You ask them if they're okay, and they start opening up about their problems. And then they see the shock on your face, and they're not going to want to talk to you about it again, because the way how men clam up, they clam up quickly and they clam up tight. If they're vulnerable around you once and you show disgust or any type of disdain, they're not going to be open again. Which is why I feel like, as someone who, like if you have a partner that is male, or for instance, your father or someone in your life that you really care about that is male, you need to be open to talking to them about it. You need to make sure that you keep your emotions in check, even if you don't think that men should be vulnerable and whatnot, because how are you going to feel if something happens to him? Especially if him do something to himself because he came to talk to you about it and you just completely brush it off. But then whenever you want to go talk about your problems, he must sit down and listen. And remember to talk about it again tomorrow.
How about we talk about starting from the parents? Because we as Jamaicans have a culture. If the girl is crying, oh, Osh, come here. The boys, toughen up. Where a ball for your man? We need
Parenting.
to get rid of that culture. We need to
Mhm.
encourage our males to express their feelings. And I know, and I'm going to say this, when it comes down to our culture, if we see the boy showing any emotions, we automatically assume that this boy is gay.
Mhm.
Automatically assume that our child is going to be a gay person, and we have this fear that that's going to happen to our child. But a little boy expressing his emotions, there's nothing wrong with that. If he's sad, it's okay to tell you why he's sad. I remember the story when the little boy shoot himself in Jamaica, and I'm just like, if somebody had taken the time out to listen to that child, like really listen when he said he was not okay, and stop beating down the child and say, toughen up, or you're worthless. Words are powerful. You
Um,
tell your child, you get upset, you tell your child, you're worthless, you're not come out to nothing. Guess what? Them a go worthless and come out to nothing because of your words, because they internalize that, and that affects up here. Sometimes as parents, we don't understand what we're doing to our kids. We think that we're growing them tough when you're destroying them slowly. So I think it starts from parenting. It really starts from there, and we all as parents really need to take a look at how we're raising our young men and our young women, because trust me, if we don't listen, bro, it's only gonna get worse. Because I just see the cases in mental illnesses and that things that our people are suffering from. It's increasing.
Mhm.
Like it's increasing on a daily basis, and we need to take control of it, especially in our Black community. It listen, mental illness is not racist. It is not by no means racist.
It
But
doesn't discriminate.
does not. But when
Yeah.
it comes down to our Black community, because we don't educate ourselves when it comes on to this, we suffer from it so much. But we like, oh no, we tough. Therapist? What? Bad man I got therapist. Huh?
Mhm. Yeah,
And that
sis.
is why men, when it comes to men, they're at the top of the rate for suicide. More men die by suicide than women right around the world because they don't have that emotional intelligence. And as Monique said, how they were raised, we socialize them by shutting that down. And Shar, you said it, talking to our children. And if there's, when it comes to the male, if there's any sign um, that female display and the male displays it, any emotional sign, we shut it down. And that's why when it comes to men, they are so high for the suicide rate and, abuse and violence against women because they should always be tough. And even in relationship, you have women, they can tell you if that their husband cry, it's a big thing for them. Me don't want a softy man. Me don't want a man to cry
Oh gosh, give me a
because
man that cry.
even us as women, we are being socialized to think that, oh, my man should be strong. We shouldn't cry. But not thinking that, okay, your man is strong and powerful. That man can abuse because he doesn't know how to communicate with you about what he's going through or what he has been through. So that anger, that frustration, that trauma then turns into violence.
Yep, because Shelley made a very good comment on that actually, where she said some of our men, the only emotion they show is anger. And that's because that is what they have been met with from a young age when they express their emotions is anger. Oh, you're not for ball, boy, pick me do ball. Oh, you need for toughen up, you need for man up. So obviously that's going to be their reaction whenever they feel anything inside because
They
they're
shut it
the only
down.
their emotions, the correlation that they're getting is, oh, I need to be angry, I can only express myself by being angry because that's all I see. And as well as what you said, Charlene, with the whole, oh, some of us need to, be cognizant of how we're raising our children. And I
Absolutely.
feel like you should, well, as a parent, I'm not a parent, but I feel like for parents, they also need to like take a step back and look at how they're raising their children. Don't look at it as oh, this is my child, this is mine, my possession. Think about your child as another human being and give them respect as another human being as well. And also, before you decide that you're going to make any type of decision based on your child's behavior, think about, okay, what did my parents do and how did it make me feel when that happened? Like, think about the generational traumas that have been happening because everybody is talking about how, oh, they want to break generational curses and whatever, but you didn't do any of the work to stop like the trauma that's going on with you, your childhood trauma that sometimes you don't even know is there, and be like, all right, how am I going to say, oh, I want my child to grow up to be better than myself when the same things that happen to me, I'm bringing it down on my child?
I agree with you. I agree because growing up in Jamaica is like when you grow up in Jamaica and you kind of know, and the people on the live are listening, you know how it is when your parents grow you tough. There are certain things that you're not supposed to cry about, and when the child grows up that way, and whenever any type of emotion is being expressed, and you telling him this and that and the third, you're supposed to be tough. When he gets older and he gets with anything, he's not gonna share it. He's gonna just go into a corner by himself, and that's scary. I don't know about you guys, but when you bottle up emotion and then you it gets to the point where you can't bottle anything anymore and that explodes, that so many things can happen with that explosion. It can damage so many things and not just that person, because as crazy as this might sound, if I'm here and I don't express myself and I don't talk about what I'm going through with anybody, when I bottle it up, when I blow, I'm affecting my entire family, not just myself. So then you go have a whole next couple of what 5 people that are gonna go through trauma again because of me bottling up everything. So I'm saying that to say, like, let's stop doing that. Let's be open. And when I say be open, be careful of who you're open to as well. Because that's another thing. You can't be open with everyone. You can't. I wish you could be, but you can't. Because being open to everyone also opens you up to other trauma, which is the tricky part. It also opens you up to other trauma. So know those key persons in your life that you can actually talk to. Now, when you pick up that phone, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm busy, call me back later. No. Know those people that when you call them, they're going to stop and they're going to actually listen to you and not listen to react, but listen attentively and to be there for you. Because sometimes the person doesn't need you to say anything. Sometimes they don't need you to say anything. They just want you to hear them and know that they have somebody, that there's somebody there that will just sit and listen to them talk. So if you can't afford a therapist, find that one person that you can just share stuff with, that you can just be real with. You can take off the mask and that person can just see you for you, because nobody is happy all the time. There ain't nobody in this world that's happy all the time. I don't care what you say. Ain't nobody in this world walking around with a smile all the time. If you walk around with a smile all the time, I want some of what you have it. That,
That is
that
true.
that's not realistic to walk around with a smile. Everything is not always good.
That is true.
Everything is not always good. So we got to find those people that we can actually, really talk to and share stuff with. I know that they're there to listen and they're not going to steer you in the wrong direction as well. You know what I mean? Do you guys have anything else to add on this? I wanted to, before we go, I wanted us to touch on the topic that I saw on there, cyberbullying. Because in this 21st century, that seems to be the norm. We are all bad people on the keyboard. Them fingers are, ninjas out there, and them fire some punch sometimes, and sometimes we don't know how to deal with it. Sometimes we don't know how to differentiate between the screen and real life. Because, like Kayla said before, somebody will come on there and say, a plane can land on your forehead. But when it comes down to cyberbullying, like for me personally, I don't pay attention to cyberbullying. I know my flaws before you tell me. So if you tell me that a plane can land on my forehead, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I know. And I can tell you the size plane that can land on there too. But that's how I deal with it. No, but that's how I deal with it. That there's no flaw you can tell me about me that I don't already know and accept. So when I come on this platform, I already know I know everything about me before I come on this platform. So ain't nothing you can say to me to diminish what I'm putting out there or what I'm trying to do. In respects to cyberbullying, I don't care what you say. You're not gonna shut me up. You're not gonna stop me from posting. I'm not gonna disappear because you went on your keyboard and decided to be bad. Never gonna do that. So when it comes on to cyberbullying, I just want to get you guys' take on cyberbullying and dealing with it, and how do people just like, shut out the noise
I mean, I feel like we
when
kind
it
of
comes
talked about it in to an extent
in a
earlier when we
different
were
way?
talking about people commenting and that kind of stuff, right? Um, Honestly, like I said, you have to have a filter. And you know what, Shar, it's amazing that you're saying that for you, you are able to, you're in tune with who you are. You're very emotionally aware, you're emotionally stable and emotionally mature. A lot of people who come on these platforms are not. right? And so they come on here and they take comments for validation. So what happens when the comment don't validate you? Then what? Right? So I feel like filter. You gotta have a filter on. You gotta know what to let in and what not to let in. And if you're unfortunately, if you're in a place of the lack of emotional maturity, it's gonna take some time, and somebody's gonna have to rub you the wrong way a few times before you get it, and you understand the ropes of this whole world, because that's the nature of Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all these other platforms, right? People don't have to confront you physically, and so they feel stronger behind a screen. But you have to filter it. It's your responsibility to filter it, because it's you that it's affecting, right?
Facts. Kayla, talk about your plane for your forehead. Go on, talk.
I mean, like, do you really want my opinion on this?
I
Because I
know,
feel like,
because I think a lot of people need to hear your opinion on this. Come, you know, you come with it.
see, like my thing is, it's completely like it's not for everybody, but my mechanism with coping with things is, first of all, you have to be able to differentiate people just attacking you online from people who are actually giving you constructive criticism, because some people don't know how to take constructive criticism. They'll see like somebody saying, oh, like for instance, oh, there's background noise in your sound, I can't really hear it. Or, oh, if you could turn the music down in your video a little bit so that I can hear your actual voice. And some people sit down and read the comment and bawl. And I'm just like, this is not meant to attack you. This is meant to, try to improve. Like, you might not know the person, but they're just like, all right, I want to watch your videos. I'd like to continue, but here's some ways that you can improve. And you have to be able to differentiate that from somebody just blatantly attacking you. Like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. Why you click on the video then? Like, there's that. So my way of dealing with it is I differentiate that first. And if I don't feel like anything you have to say is constructive, I don't care. Because one, I don't know you. Two, even if I know you, do I care enough about your opinion to make it affect me? There's that. So personally, anybody on this screen can hurt my feelings because I care about your opinion. But there's like a vast majority of people who can comment, and I promise you that I will sleep like a baby because I don't care. Like, there's that. That is that's how I deal with it. But I feel like some people they're just there's a high level of sensitivity going on as well in this current, well, the generation below mine and even in mine as well, where they'll just take anything as criticism. Oh, you're attacking me. Oh, you're canceled. Oh, you wear your shirt backwards on video. You never put enough effort into your video. Cancelled. All of that. So I feel like you have to really pick and choose your battles and choose what you're going to make affect your mental health. Because if you sit down and make everything affect you, it's going to be a problem. Because I can guarantee that somebody's going to hate what you're doing. Because they can't please everybody. Somebody's going to hate it. And again, really, if you're not going to say it to my face, why? Catch the fade in person. Because I can also cuss you out online. You're not the only person that can cuss people out online. There's that.
Listen,
Is that?
big up Razor Blade for passing through Razor Blade. So from the moment you put anything about you on the internet, trust and believe, be ready for opinions, and all opinions won't always be what you would like, and that's just life, and that's facts.
Mhm.
Once you put yourself on this platform, you're opening up yourself to public scrutiny. So that's why that's why I wanted to have this conversation tonight as well, because you gotta ensure that your mental health is taken care of before you enter this platform. Like I told you, I know my flaws before. Listen, I didn't just jump on YouTube because it's a thing to do in quarantine. This is a carefully thought out process. And everything that I do is carefully thought out. I know that when I put myself on here, and please notice I only put myself on here, I don't put my family on here because they didn't say they want to come on the internet. Shar decided that she wanted to go on the internet. Shar wanted to open up herself to public scrutiny, not the rest of my family. So you're not going to see my family on here because if there's one trigger this girl has, talk about my family, that's a problem. So we're not going to do that. You talk about me. Tell me about me. Tell me anything you want to tell me about me because I don't care. So I
Yeah,
made sure that
right.
I made sure that this was right before I came on here because not everybody's gonna love you, and it's just facts. But you got to take care of this, and that's absolutely important. Want to go down?
I wanna,
Go
I
ahead.
wanna, what's the name of the person? Raz. There's a famous,
Disappeared.
Raz. Yeah, there's a famous motivational speaker by the name of Les Brown, and he says, "Never let someone else's opinion of you becomes your reality. So never sacrifice yourself because someone has a problem with you." As Kayla said, I'm very thick-skinned when it comes down to certain things. I mean, that may be because of how I was raised. Um, from an early age, certain things was just, said to me. And you have to realize that yes, people will have opinion of you, but when you take that into account and start to feed yourself with that, then you start to use their opinion and then make that your reality. So you never want that to happen. You never want to stray away from who you are as an individual. Be confident in your capacity, in even in your limitation. I have space teeth. No one can tell me anything about my space teeth. People
Right?
are, "Oh, why don't you get braces and all that stuff?" I can get braces if I want. This is how I was born with it. Right? So you have to be confident in who you are, because when you let people's opinion become your reality, this is where we see, oh, your breast is too saggy. We start to see breast jobs. Oh, your butt is flat. You start to see big butts and all of these things that has so many side effects, detrimental. A lot of people go on that hospital bed and they never recover. They're 6 feet under. So never, yes, people will have opinion and they can have, but at the end of the day, never let that becomes your reality, because then you lose focus of who you are and become. And I feel like social media, people, it's just a facade. People are just pretending. And for the ones who show who they really are, a lot of people have problem, because if you come on here and you're acting real and, for a beautiful black queen, you know, it won't go viral, but you're bleaching, a tattoo, rings, and, breast showing and all of that. That's what people want to see. So be confident in who you are. No one can tell me anything. I am beautiful, I'm black, and I love myself the
Tell
way
you.
I'm black and I'm proud.
Talk
I
to
am.
me.
James Brown with the cloud.
Oh my God.
I
Okay.
love.
She said,
I wanted to mention something. There's a YouTube video, because we were talking about men. There's a YouTube video. I always talk about this when I come and share thing, but it's a good video. It's called "The Mask You Live In," and it's about masculinity in men. I honestly, that's it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful video. I think it's like an hour, and men talk about how they were raised and what was said to them, and some of them became violent, some of them suicide, and so it's just a good thing to watch for men and even for women, because as Shar said, training our men start with us as parents, the way how we talk to our children. So it's called "The Mask You Live In" on YouTube.
yeah, I remember that from the last talk that we had over on the other channel.
Yeah.
Some hours ago, add for the one later.
No, because it's a good documentary, and it's well rounded. So I think men should watch that. Not just men, but like women too.
Everybody.
Yeah, should watch
Yeah,
that documentary.
absolutely.
There's also the fact that social media was not made for people to broadcast their lows. Usually, if you go on Instagram and Facebook, people are posting pictures and posts about their highlights of their life. You're getting the highlights. You're not getting the,
Not the
oh,
word.
The
yeah,
real.
you're not getting the night before payday when me I eat 2 cup of ramen on the couch and I
Get
bounce
it.
the little, the little space heater electricity box. So no, you're getting You're getting the highlights of people's life. So you can't really base your self-worth on other people's highlights because they're going to be showing you the best parts of their life on social media. They're not going to be showing the hole in them foot bottom or all of them. So, like, they're not going to be showing you any of these things. They're showing you the good parts.
But
Yeah.
that's real talk. Like a lot of us need to this. I keep saying this. Like social media is not real life. Like I know I put on social media is real because I don't have time to fake. There's not enough hours in the days to fake for me.
Fake vacation,
Yeah,
fake,
hey, you know what I'm about to do in
fake
this
babes.
corona? You know what I'm about to do? I'm about to pull up a beach on my YouTube, sit with a chair, cock up my legs, and take a picture and trick all of y'all. You know,
Oh my
for fake
god!
vacation. That's what I'm about to do. Fake vacation.
So a lot of us see social media, and you see this girl, and she has nice body. She's always dressing in flashy stuff, and you guys don't even know the story behind that.
Oh my God.
Because truth, there is a story behind that, and a lot of us, we play into this social media life, this social media mindset. It's like, okay, I gotta look like this, I gotta do this,
Mm-hmm.
and
Race has to be
yeah,
You know, can I
it
speak on this
causes something up here.
one day? I
makeup
would
on
love to
fleek all
share.
the time. Oh my God, I can't.
I'd love to share my story one day, but I'll give a little bit of snippets, right? Because sometimes, people in your family too, wherever they are in the world, whether back home or somewhere else in the world, and friends or just people that you've met along the, life's journey that are on your social media or strangers even, they'll see you post a picture and you look nice and they think, oh, you must have it real together. They don't even know what was going on in your come up, what you had to do to get to where you're at. Like they don't even know. So sometimes I look at it, and I have really close friends who are on here who knows this, and I'll say, I came to this country with $350 in my pocket. So when you see me post a picture in a nice dress, just know I had to work my soft to get there. Like it was no joke.
They don't like. I never come on and share my entire story or anything. There's a few people who really know my story, and I'm gonna not gonna say that, oh, I have struggled and this and that, but everybody have had their different type of
High
struggle.
and lows, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I like before, like when I just left college and stuff like that, I remember moving to an apartment, didn't have a bed, sleeping on the floor. Like, don't nobody know that. And people are gonna judge you when they see the come up. Like when they see me now and I'm doing so many different things, people are gonna judge you and say
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of things about whatever they're saying, which is ridiculous. You know what I mean? So, you can't just look at social media and think you know everything, because you don't. You
True.
see me now, but you did not see the journey
You
to
didn't see
get.
the fight. You didn't see the fight.
But
When I
you
look at it,
see,
I'm like, this is my ninth year, and I'm like, where were you from the 7, 8 year journey of struggles and fight just to graduate? Just to graduate. Like you, Shar, I slept on somebody's floor to be where I'm at. Where were you when I was fighting? You know what I mean?
They don't even know. Like, I always say, because people see me and they're like, oh, you're doing this and that. But y'all don't even know, like, the journey it took to be able to take a vacation, to go there or whatever. Like, the fact that I'm here right now is a blessing. Like, the
Amen.
fact that I can do what I'm doing is a blessing. So that's why when I come on social media, ain't nothing you can tell me about me. There's
and
nothing.
what I realized, like, all of us, we all went to the same, college and we study hard. And, our journey, is different. But at the end of the day, we all experience pain. But when someone in a heartbeat would say, yeah, I would take your position. They want the easy life. They don't want what we had to deal with, the the late night studying, as you said, you had to sleep on someone floor. Sure, you didn't have a bed when you moved into your apartment. I remember when I was in college, I remember one Sunday there was nothing in the fridge to eat. I remember I had 2 carrots. And for maybe weeks, every time I go in the fridge, I say, oh, I'm going to throw the carrots because they're quail. And for some unknown reason, I left the carrots in the fridge. And I remember that Sunday, it's like because I was working, going to school and doing all of that. And remember, when you're an international student here, you're only allowed to work 20
Hold on,
hours.
Sam, your audio is kind of going in and out.
My audio?
Yeah.
Move the phone or something.
Did you move the phone?
No, I didn't.
Hold on. It sounds radio-ish.
Like scream.
Robotic. That's what I meant.
Are
Robotic.
you hearing me now?
We're hearing you. You just sound like a robot.
It sounds
I'm not sure what's happening. Is it any better?
But go ahead. It'll probably chip back in.
Yeah. I was just saying that, when you talk about your journey, they want the now, but not what you had to experience and the hard work and the sacrifice, that you had to make and had to go through to get here. And as you say, Shar, you know what you've been through, right? And when you come on this social media platform, you stand firm in who you are and what you've been through, and you can say certain things with confidence, and it just comes up with such ease. As I was saying, we've all been through, hardships, and I was talking about not having anything to eat in the fridge that Sunday. I could have gotten food, but was just too depressed at the time to even reach out to anyone. And I remember I had those 2 stale carrots in the fridge, like literally 2 stale carrots. And I'm like, Lord, what am I going to do with these 2 stale carrots? And I opened the cupboard so many times. And, back in Jamaica, they say use your hand and make fashion. So you know what I did? I put on a pot of water, talking in patois now. I put on a pot of water, diced up the carrot really nice, put some pepper flakes, some Maggi seasoning, and some salt.
Carrots. Hey.
I don't know if that was carrot broth or what, but let me tell you, when I was finished, oh my goodness, the belch that I gave, the house trembled.
Belly full. See it? I'm telling
you. When you have gone through things like that, like it makes you strong in who you are. You have a vision, you have a dream, and you are determined to execute it, because your dreams are only dreams if you don't put them into action, right? So there's a lot of sacrifice that comes behind, being successful, being where we are now, and people will see you through social media and judge you not knowing the sacrifice that you have. That is why I say, right? You can't let people opinions of you become your reality. You know who you are and you stand firm in that. Let them talk and let it bounce. That's it. As long as they don't, my granny said, as long as they not touch all like this, as long as they don't do this.
Touch you.
Yes, you are good, because we have to understand social media for what it is and leave it there. Just know that there are people out there that, and a lot of times, let me tell you, it's jealousy. They wish they could be in your position. But rather than doing something positive, uplifting, they just choose to tear down people and portray their low self-esteem onto others, and they don't even realize that. Positive uplifting.
Absolutely. Before we get Nigel to weigh in on this, Reza is saying he's been a YouTuber for 5 years. It hasn't been easy, but trust me, I laugh with the negative because I understand I can't tell people how to think. Facts. Let me get down to the bottom. All right, Nigel. Welcome to the party.
Hey, good night, ladies.
Good night.
Man, it's been an interesting, conversation, and my word is not so good when it come on to typing. Sure, translate from it properly. And I really like the like how you guys break it down, and trust me, as I mentioned, sometimes we inside suffer from this sickness that we are looking like, saying that it's only people on the outside suffer from it. But sometimes it's an internal problem also. But with all the, the explanation and so forth, I learned a lot since night, much more than, than I would go research on. You understand me? But you guys breaking it down and explaining it teaches us so much to, to use in our everyday life, because these are tools that we now have the tools, so we know how to use them now. You understand me? So I don't really come for mention too much things, I just come to tell you guys it's really, really awesome that you guys take the time out to come here. And Razor Blade, if you care for go up on the screen and come say something, bless the screen with your presence, because
Yeah, Reza, if you feel like coming up, feel free. The link is there.
if you don't know, on the screen, Razor Blade is one of YouTube #1 vlogger, and he's inside the chat right now. So if he wishes to come on stage and bless the screen, we'll
Man,
be very much obliged. So
YouTube royalty, actually.
huh?
Yeah.
YouTube royalty, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you guys
You
have the
know,
platform. You guys have the platform. So, Razor Blade and yourself, Nigel, like you're the voices that really need to propel what we're saying forward because and Shari, because you have the platform to share it with the world, right? And when you have the position of being an influencer, we also have to be super careful what we're influencing. And so having this be a part of the conversation is great.
I just want to add to what Monique was saying. I was about to say it, but Monique chimed in first. Having this platform, and I'm not an influencer, but like I feel like a lot of influencers, they just want to put material out there because they want the views and the likes because most of these things are monetized now. But you have to be careful what you put on social media because remember, if everything you put out is negative and it's violence and it's degrading, that comes right back to you and you might, oh yeah, this girl and this girl is fighting, nothing is wrong, I'm putting out the videos and people are making comments and I'm laughing, but you don't understand how those negative things go around in a circle and comes right back down to your doorstep. So don't wait until it comes to your doorstep. Be positive and intentional with what you put out, and just be mindful. Just be mindful because there's a lot of stuff on social media. Even like I like social media, right? Because it gives me a lot of content in terms of what I like and all of that stuff. But sometimes I have to hide or delete something from my page because I know that when I share a video, and even for me, I don't share certain things on my page, right? I might share something because I want my friend to see it, but I share it in Messenger so we can have a discussion about it, right? On my personal page, you won't see certain things on my page. And I remember there was this incident with a young girl being sexually abused, and one of my longtime classmates shared the video on his platform. So it popped up on my page of viewing. So I immediately I what I did, I reported it and I said to him in Messenger, why would you share something like this? Because you know that you can be charged. And he immediately blocked me. Right, videos of people fighting, children being abused and all of things. It's just like I know sometimes it's good because now you can share things, you can talk, the police and other social services, but be mindful in how you share it because even a lot of people don't know that some of the times when you share certain things and you even download them into your phone, if you're stopped by the police and you have certain materials in your phone, you can be charged if you have any pornography of children in your phone. A lot of people don't know that, even though it's on social media, but you share it and you guys are discussing about it. A lot of people don't know that they have to be careful about those things.
true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Topic for another day. Talk about sexual
Yeah.
abuse. I can't wait.
You know it's coming. Hold on. I have another YouTuber on the line. Hey, Vicky. Oh my God, like a million. Can you hear her?
Yeah, I can. I can hear the sound.
Okay, go ahead, Vicky.
Good night, everybody. I just want to say this is a very, very, very good topic that you guys are talking about. But come on, I didn't it. But this topic is not like very talkable because of the skeptical thing that people like put towards like mental health is not a big deal, but it actually is. And I don't think that persons can really let's say no disrespect, but I think that persons who have like a one-on-one experience, like people who go through depression or anxiety, I think that they can relate more to this topic because at the end of the day, who feels knows it. You cannot talk for somebody, right? You cannot talk because you hear somebody say this. You actually have an experience. Actually talk about this topic. Yes.
Absolutely. Where's that?
So you're saying that you have to have the experience to talk about the topic?
Did you hear that, Vicky? We're hearing you, Vicky. Did you hear what she said? Yes, we heard you. We heard you. We heard you. But what more? So what Mo is asking, is it that you believe that because someone has not gone through mental illness, they won't really understand what it is, or is it that they can't relate truly to it?
Well, they can understand. Don't get me wrong, they can understand because if I'm going through something and I come to you as a friend and say, sure, sometimes as a family or something like that, you will understand, but you can't actually really, you can't actually tell all my feeling. You can't hold like, oh, no, I understand, whatever. Do you truly understand? Do you truly understand what I'm feeling inside? So that is what I'm basically trying to say.
And I will say, then that's all you need to do. And we've exemplified that. Nobody's expecting any normal person to just be a professional in on the topic. But I think the whole point is like be attuned with other people's emotions, your own emotions, and know when something is off. And that's all you need to do is to try to understand. And if you can't understand and empathize, try to put yourself in that person's shoe and just be present and be an active listener. And I'm just going to say, I don't know what her name is, but that's all you can do. There's no expertise that anyone is having, an expectation of expertise. It's just to be aware, that these things do exist, have an idea of what to look for, and have an idea of how to cope with them. Because whether you want to think you deal with it or not, if you have dealt with stress in your life, if you've lost a loved one, if you've lost a job, you have experienced these things. You might not have been able to put a word to it, but every one of us in some capacity have experienced trauma or mental health problems or know someone that has in some capacity. If you tell me that you haven't, please, as Shar would say, please tell me what you're taking because I would like to know.
Well, if I say I haven't, that would be lie because I actually suffer from depression and anxiety. Like I've been suffering for years, but I'm actually like medical help, and that is why I always feeling wrong, some off with me. And I must get mad over stupid things or whatever. But when I go to the medical professional that is own, I know that something is wrong with me. And even whenever I try to say, oh, you have anxiety and depression, I will seek lots of opinion before actually believe it. Everybody will go to the same thing, yes, suffer from depression and anxiety. So the first thing will come to my head is like backside, I'm like, no, Jesus Christ, we need some people to come to me because they got kill somebody or whatever. But people don't really understand that depression and anxiety is normal. It is not abnormal and one crime. And at the end of the day, it's not a life sentence, right? Because most of the times me unhappy, but at the end of the day, me as always remind myself that I am bigger than this and there's purpose in it. And these stuff come with me suicidal thoughts. Because whatever time I think about suicide or whatever, and it is natural. But you have some people that talk, oh, man, whatever, God, or email, or whatever, because they're not experiencing it fully. Get me what I'm trying to say?
No, I get what you're saying. I have a friend who've gone through depression too, and you know, when you're talking to somebody that have no clue what this is, I truly get what you're saying now, and I think you kind of just chip in for me. Is that again? That is what Shara and Sam said earlier. Telling the wrong person. We all said it earlier. Telling the wrong person, because the way they react to it, if they have no clue, like they're gonna be like, just want to sleep, or want to pray, or go read your Bible, or whatever, and get over it. You are so right. Like I completely understand your perspective on the topic now, and you have your own, you know, your own story, and thank you for being so brave to share that with us too.
I just want to add, what's her name?
Vicky. Vicky.
Because we're all Jamaican, right? And I think in our culture, you know, depression, you know, mental illness, it's not normalized. So here, for me, living in Canada, like everyone know what it is. You know, even someone outside, can say, if you're just talking to a total stranger, you're just saying, you know, telling them what you're going through, they can say, oh, maybe you need to go and see a counselor, because like it's so normalized in the culture, even though there's still stigma to it, but it's so normalized. It's like an everyday topic that people talk about. It's easily identifiable for other person, even if they don't experience it, because it's so it's like it's there. But in Jamaica and in our culture, we don't talk about it. Even to say if someone is acting straight, everything chopped up, you know, mud. When maybe they're just having a mental health break, maybe because some people don't understand that even through genes, certain mental illness is passed down through genes and, you know, trauma. Even if you do drugs, do recreational drugs, use alcohol and things like that, that can also affect you. You have depression or, you know, mental illness. So I think someone is driving.
Bike.
I have a Dover wear spray out here, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's a car. Sound like one Woomba bike.
These guys drive some cars past here. It's not funny.
So I think what needs to happen in our culture, and why I say that, because we're all Jamaican and we know how, you know, it's dealt with and how we look down on those persons, is, you know, more conversation needs to be had, you know, on a micro level, for people to understand and normalize, so that they can recognize the symptom, even if they haven't experienced it. And as Mo said, I think everyone on the face of this earth have experienced even major depression, where it just lasts maybe 2 to 3 weeks.
Hear that, Vicky?
And you know what is, and as you said about in our culture, as Jamaicans, we in Jamaica, it is very hard to like seek medical professionals, because at the end of the day, when I found out I wanted to get this, because almost $20,000, right? It is very hard and it's expensive to seek medical professionals or medical help. But at the end of the day, what we as Jamaicans do understand that not everybody who say, oh, I'm hypertensive and have anxiety. Not we don't mind. We just have to do something that is like different from the rest. Like we are different from the rest, because at the end of the day, not everybody presents trauma. And I was reading about BID, that is dissociative identity disorder, and bipolar and all them something, because but really, and as a whole, I'm sometimes actually go and Google my stuff or whatever, if you know, say, all right, I'm actually no matter. So I'm gonna tell my mother, she's like, oh, you know, 60 again, you matter, whatever. And then like I'm actually still like, oh, you know, when they get my treatment, and then I think that when you find out when it is confirmed that you are suffering from this or suffering from it, I think it actually gets worse, because families I know say me suffering from anxiety and depression. Not that just me depressed like almost every day. One time that I depressed once a week or twice a week. But no, I'm depressed like every single day. I mean, we still have suicidal thoughts, because I think that living with depression and anxiety, I think that those things are common. If I have suicidal thoughts, I feel like I don't belong. I feel like they're not wanted. But at the end of the day, what I do, and this is what we do, me listen to songs, me drink, and me smoke. Like that is how me ease my pain or eat whatever what I'm going through. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to you make yourself want to marry me. I'm not marry me. But at the end of the day, we should understand, and I don't want anybody to judge, because actually it takes a bold person to come out and talk, say, oh, yes, I'm this, stuff like that, because we have pride and we suffer in silence. And that's why so many people commit suicide or kill themselves or whatever, because we're suffering in silence, I would prefer come out and talk about it because I people are gonna say, oh, your mother, whatever. But I think that living with depression and anxiety, it is not a normal feeling. And you don't want nobody ever feel like everybody will feel this way, but really feel a way to them because sometimes people are sorry for themselves, but sometimes we cannot do nothing but like stare at space and like ask her, why me? Why it happened to me? Like why could I to one of my sister them, my only sister them, my only brother in my school. But at the end of the day, I think that God chooses the strongest soldiers despite all these battles. And that's what I always tell myself. And I try not to feel less than what I want to feel. I'm trying not, because when you're living with those stuff, it makes you feel like you're nobody. That is what I feel like every day. And it makes you feel like, oh, they're like an old cast and they want that shit in the family because everybody normal and just me around just sleep for 50 years. Now I'm here for years, now I'm here for years, now I'm out for years. And that's what it does. It's very heartbroken. Like, even think about it. It's very heartbroken. I don't really like to talk about it because if I talk about it, I'm get emotional or whatever. But I really have to bring awareness to do to these things and just know say it is real and it happens and it happens more than the normal. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have to say thank you for for your strength and your courage and honesty and openness and vulnerability to share that, because you're not just sharing us with us on the screen, like people who are in the comments, but the world, right? And so thank you for doing that. And I can understand too, like even after this, if you're, because you struggle with anxiety, if you're anxious about the fact, oh my gosh, like you're probably saying, oh, I shared this, but somebody needed to hear your story because somebody might be struggling silently, and and that's the thing, we need to normalize the conversation about it. And I know that wasn't easy, and I know it took guts for you to say that this is something that I actually struggle with and actually is getting medical attention, help with rather. So thank you for that. Like, I'm grateful for your vulnerability for sure, because I'm sure that somebody needed to hear that and needed to feel like, hey, I'm not alone.
Absolutely.
You see, and the thing, Vicky's still there.
Yeah. Hold on, there, Vicky. Nicola, talk to you.
Every day, when I sit down, get a knife and cut up my skin, I want to do it, like my laugh, and then like if somebody hurt me or say something bad to me, but like the first moment I'm gonna cut my skin, I'm gonna have so many scars, like seeing that my big now look on my arms and like on my leg, I feel like, oh my god, why did you do this? My arm is it, and then maybe I think like I have some mental illness because everything used to laugh and say nobody can hurt me the way I can hurt myself. So somebody lick me or somebody says something to me, I don't even wild them. I just go take my knife and just cut my skin and just laugh. And then,
You know what, Vicky, that is, I will say from knowledge and experience in my field, I will say that we all have coping mechanisms. It doesn't mean that all of them are good. And so you cutting yourself is a coping mechanism for a lot of people, right? So some people, when you're having that, so this is the thing with mental health problems. When you walk into a hospital and you're having a breakdown, it's not like a broken leg or a broken finger. It's not visible to other people. So they don't see it and they can't see it. So sometimes some explanation to that is it's a coping mechanism. That's one explanation. Another thing is it's a visualization of the pain that you're feeling that people cannot see, right? And so sometimes even for you cannot conceptualize feeling that pain inside. And so for you to physically see something on your skin, you're like, okay, now it makes sense. It's to make it physical or visible in a sense. So I will say that it is a coping mechanism, but it's not a good one. And you have the scars to tell your story for sure. Like you just said that you have the scars to tell your story, and it tells a story of a victor, it tells a story of a warrior, and it tells a story of a survivor. And so my encouragement to you is to try to look at your scars, your physical scars, in that way, that when you were at your lowest point and you felt like listen, all this thing that's going on in my head and in my world don't make no sense, and you cut yourself, your body and your brain allowed you to do whatever it needed you to do to stay alive and to stay safe. So look at it from that perspective. It's, I'm not saying that it's something that you would want to seek to continue to do, because harm to ourselves, you could hit a vein one day, you never know, right? So you want to seek out healthier coping mechanisms, but look at your scars as, when I was going through my trauma and my stress and my depression, my anxiety, what I did to myself with those cutting of myself, it was a way for you to cope. It was your own coping mechanism, though it was unhealthy. So those are your signs of, as I just said, strength and resilience and just survivorship, honestly.
Can I care to say something, Vicky? We love you, sweetie. Um, in this new day and age where we have the social media and we're using it to our advantage, you have a lot of social media family right now. And Vicky, you can take up the phone and call anyone away. You can go on your live. We will be right there because I know when you get the chance to talk out and people listen, it's like another relief for you, you know. So Vicky, go ahead, do your live, sweetie. We jump on the live, we listen, we comment, and that's another relief for you. So don't feel alone out there. That was one time. Now you have a new YouTube family. Shar is there, Chooks
One
is there, 16 is here, everybody's here. Sorry about that. Stay right there. 60. I don't even know who's calling at this hour. Anyway, all of us are here. So we're gonna give you all the time of day, regardless, middle day, middle night, it don't matter. Once we see Vicky live come on, we know Vicky need to talk.
Exactly.
We know Vicky want to talk now. So everybody's just gonna know that, hey, if I 10 people upon it, 5 people, no matter, Vicky just wanted to talk. And we know when Vicky talk, we laugh, and that's all Vicky need, is when she talks. So Vicky, trust me, don't worry yourself. We all here. We all here. Those were the past, know the future, know the present. You have us. You have a new family right here. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I just want to say to Vicky, again, thank
Hold
you
on,
for
hold on,
sharing.
Vicky. Hold on a second. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sam.
I just want to say to Vicky, thank you for sharing. It's always a privilege when someone is vulnerable and, share their experience, their past. What I would say to you is to own your story. And in this minute, in this moment, you're owning your story. You're owning it. And you don't understand that's powerful when you can look at what you've been through, something that wants to keep you in the shadow, and you're here, you're talking about it. You don't know who is on this live tonight that has been through it or going through it right now, that right now on this live you're talking about what you have been through. So many people, they're afraid to open their mouth and talk about what they went through depression or what they did to themselves. So right now you're owning your story, and it's powerful. And I would say that to you, don't let anyone make you feel less or make you feel ashamed of what you've been through. Your scars tell the story of who you are, and you have to just tell yourself that, I can overcome this, and you will. So thank you for sharing that again.
Absolutely.
It is my pleasure, and I like talking about it. I have no shame in talking about it. Legit, I don't have no shame. I don't feel like I'm less than a human for sharing my story, because at the end of the day, there are lots of persons who are going through depression and anxiety. I remember in December, last year December, I sat down in my house, and that was about 3 o'clock. I was sitting down in my house night for night. I got cut my skin. I'm like, no, there are voices in my head like I want battle. And then it's like I lose full control of myself. It's like I don't know. I don't know what I'm actually doing. When I realize that all of me inside, I'm actually trying to all of me inside. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I do this. So me not feel no way to talk about my story, because everybody has a past, and some people past are more dramatic or traumatic than others. But I'm not ashamed of my past. I'm not ashamed of anything that I've done in the past, because that is the past. And I'm so grateful for everybody who takes time out to listen, because you don't know from who you have. And then see me sad and then don't know what me sad. I mean, so sad and not to say, we just mad or whatever. But I really don't know what me I go through inside. Like, I'm not an emotional person, like to cry. Like, and I'm the youngest out of all of my mother kids. I have a little brother, I have 4 big sisters, and everybody always like lean on my shoulders. But me want the shoulders to lean, but I never had any whatsoever. Me have to lean on my own shoulders, and I never let anybody see me. All right, I'm gonna come off. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate it.
Love you, Vicky.
Love you, Vicky.
Yeah, it's real, guys. It's real. And
Yeah.
as we mentioned, when it comes on to Vicky, she know we here. And I think we are making a change in her life by when because she needs someone to talk to. And trust me, anytime Missy Vicky thing come up, me jump on it, no matter what I'm doing. Dear, and if I drive, I pull over and text, to keep, because um, this social media thing, a lot of people bash it, but it have it good, it's bad, it's up, it's down, and it's nothing wrong with it. It's how we use it,
Mm-hmm.
and and everybody can use it to the benefiting of their purpose. Shar, this is one beautiful stuff that you put together, and I really appreciate it, you know. And
Thank you
I
so
and I
much.
really thank you guys for coming here and and giving us your all professional inputs on how we can address these problems. And there goes, we have a first-hand problem right here, and um, it's real. It just goes to show how real it is.
I'm gonna go to the comments, but I know two of the ladies have to kind of like rush out. So any closing comments? Because I know you gotta go, and Kayla, I know you gotta go right now before I go through the comments. Anything closing that you want to leave with us?
Yeah, like I wrote down a couple of things. So I think the OG lifestyle said something earlier, and he was just talking about empowering people. And I remember when I just started college, my one of my professors, she gave us this quote. She said, "Be kind to everyone you meet, because everybody that you meet is going through something." And just to speak about, just children in general, we were talking about parenting earlier, and how we raise our children, how we nurture them to become products of society. And I will say this: that shrubs are easier to bend than trees. So when your kids are young, like, you want to try to teach them the right things then, and try to curb them then, and teach them how to love and to be empathetic and to be kind and how to express emotions then. Because once they become trees, that's when they shut down, and that's when you have, men who are more inclined to commit suicide than to speak, right? And women who are struggling with anxiety and don't want to talk about it, and living in depression for years, right? And really just not living their lives to their fullest potential. So again, shrubs are easier to bend than trees are. And when you think about children, they are products of society. When we were talking about men earlier, and I wrote this down, and I said that, that's somebody's wife. If it's a girl that you're trying to nurture, and that's somebody's husband, that's going to be somebody's dad and somebody's mom. So when you're speaking to people in certain ways, speaking to kids in certain ways, and being a part of their rearing process, be so careful and meticulous about how you invest into them, because they're the future. That's what we say, right? So yeah. And on mental health in general, like if you are struggling with mental illnesses, um be compassionate towards yourself, reach out for help. And if you are in the position to be of help to someone, don't judge. Try not to judge, and try to listen with empathy, and not just listen as Shar said, to respond, but just to hear and to understand.
Thank you, Mo. Any closing, Kayla?
I think my closing comments would be that everyone really try to take something away from what they've learned today, like take a step back, try to figure out what type of self-care methods help for you, try to find resources that are around you, because I know not everybody here is in Canada or in Jamaica. try to find the resources that are around you and really try to utilize them. Like if you have any type of free or subsidized resources, try to utilize those and really just try to nurture your mental health, especially if you're on a platform such as YouTube or you're on social media and you think that things are really bothering you, or even in this pandemic with the quarantine, just really, because I know some people probably think, oh, this isn't really bothering them stay at them yard all the time anyways. But we're used to going out, maybe, DJing a party or doing stuff, going out with friends, seeing family members, and that's not our reality right now. So really just try to nurture your mental health as best as you can.
I'm gonna rush to the comments, but before anybody chips off or anything, because I know, I want to thank you guys because like I asked you guys literally yesterday, and no joke, everybody in the comment section, whenever I call these ladies and say, hey, can we do this? They have never shut me down. They've never shied away from any conversation, and we know everybody's busy, and they've always been like, yes, girl, let's get it. So we can always call them on series. So thank you guys so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting me. Truly, truly appreciate it. Sam, I know you have a closing comments and I know you want to go. Let me just read two of these comments real quick so we can get out of here. Tripsy was asking, what would you say to people who don't know how to deal with negativity online?
Oh, God.
Anybody can take a stab at it.
So I think this is a whole different dynamic. So if you don't know how to deal with negativity online, man, I think that's a personal thing, and you really got to take a step back and reevaluate your threshold for dealing with these things, because so many of you have said this before, that it is something that comes with this area of work that people choose to do. And you really got to take a step back and reevaluate, your ability to deal with these things. And if you aren't able to deal with it, I don't know. I have to research this now. If there's actually research out there about how people cope when you live in a social media world, when you're an influencer, how do you cope? Like when it comes to mental health and that kind of stuff. I really gotta, that's honestly just take a step back and reevaluate your threshold to cope and to deal with these negative comments that are coming at you. And maybe you need to take a break, or, take a step away from it for a week or something. Give yourself some self-love, pour in. Maybe you've been posting every week, every 2 days you're on live, and you feel like, okay, you're welling up and you're swelling up with anxiety. Take a step back, maybe take a break from it and just kind of pour into your cup, whatever that looks like.
Absolutely. I'm just gonna keep going. Everyone faces depression, but there are different levels to it. So what I've overcome, you may not. So be mindful of what you say to others.
Real talk, Gypsy. Real talk.
Resiliency. That's exactly what that is, right? Everybody have a different level of resiliency. So
absolutely. You never know what someone is going through. A smile can mean a million things. Facts.
Yep.
This in turn don't care about people's feelings, just build up your own mental health and self. Right? So that's taking care of yourself. One of the worst is to tell people your problems who can't help. Empty waste of time. Lord have mercy. Here we go. I'm trying to skip through, guys, because I'm not gonna get through everything. I'm just gonna skip through the major points.
All right. Good night, ladies. Nice seeing you all. All right.
Night, Nigel. Thanks for coming on the screen, and thanks for governing the chat for me. Bless
No
up yourself.
problem. I'm going back in the chat. All right.
All right, Nigel.
All right.
All right. So the next quick comment here is, and suicide is definitely not the way, but sometimes stress is way too much. You have no choice but to end the pain.
So let me just hold up. Let's pull back on that. You always have a choice. You might feel like you don't in that moment because it just feels like everything is too much, but you always have a choice. And why do you always have a choice? Because the choice to, end your life is a choice. So there must have been another choice, right? So there always is a choice. I'm not saying that it's easy or the choices will be easily detectable, but you always have a choice though, for sure.
Absolutely. Um, Depression can put you in place you no longer know yourself, right?
True.
Da, da, da. Almost there, ladies, almost there. And to how that was common for girls who are depressed would normally cut themselves with razor. So that is common, unfortunately. I really like the vibe on this live. I'm so happy to be here, and it's also fun. Thanks, everyone. I'm enjoying this so far. Keep up the good works. Bless up yourself, famous Tessa. Nigel, not everybody would want to share their sad story on live because people is just waiting to take advantage of it. And you're gonna find that in any situation, whatever you share, some people are gonna take the good and some are gonna take the bad. Some are gonna use it against you, some are gonna use it to build you up. Um, so it comes with it. It comes with it. Tripsy, I'm reading the comments now. Try CB oil for depression. Da, da, da. I want to thank Vicky again for coming on. It takes a lot of courage and strength to share your story, and I really appreciate you guys coming on, and you coming on and just telling us what you're going through. And I'm sure people that are listening kind of have a better understanding of who Vicky is. She is also a YouTuber, and show some support. Don't be judgmental, show some support, because that's all you can do. Anybody that's experiencing depression or any kind of mental illness, all you can do is be there for them and show your support. Don't really like talk about it, sorry guys. Wish I could share more. Vicky, no worry, we will open the platform for you at another time, and we can talk a little bit more, have you on the screen and kind of like dive a little bit deeper into it. I wish that no one goes through depression or anxiety. It's just unfair that people's happiness or joy is just taken away. Vicky C, you are stronger than most. Some people don't share their story like you just did. Absolutely. Thank you, BSG, for giving her that encouragement. God, here. Thanks, everyone. Much love and appreciation. There. Thanks for coming on the live. I appreciate it. Big up yourself, London boy. Okay, scroll down, and I think we're at the end. We have one last comment. Vicky C, I myself going through depression at times. Sometimes wish to share my story, but I'm afraid to do so because of what may happen in the long run. But think about what you say. I will start to talk soon. And famous, the platform is open for you anytime you ever want to share your story. I'm just gonna give you the opportunity right now to give your closing remarks, Samantha. What's your last words on the topic?
Um, as social worker, we work from a trauma-informed lens, and we say, don't ask, people or friends, what's wrong with you. Rather say what happened to you, because when you ask them what's wrong with them, it seems like something is actually wrong with them. So we don't ask that, ask what happened to you. And I just want to say to everyone on the live who, watching, commenting, just know that you are more than who you were. So all your past traumatic experience, what you went through, if you have attempted suicide, just know that you're more than who you were. Own your story, be bold in it, stand in it. Because that's who you are. It makes you stronger, even though you think it does not, but it makes you stronger. Don't look at it as, it's weak because I'm feeling depressed every day, or, I'm going through this and I just cannot shake this feeling. A lot of it has to do, with your brain, chemical imbalance, and just a lot of things. So it's not something easy to navigate, even as professional doctors, psychiatrists, even the psychiatrists and the psychologists, they have someone that they have to see. they see someone too. So none of us is immune to experiencing depression or going through certain things. Right now with this pandemic, I can tell you, for years to come, when this thing is done, because I feel like everyone is just holding their breath like this.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's time to release, we're going to see a rise. And a lot of people may not be able to pinpoint or say, you know what, I'm feeling depressed, but I know after this, because this is something um, that is affecting the entire world, right? And there's a lot of shift, there's a lot of change in the way how we socialize. One of the biggest difference is that we're not able to socialize the way how we used to before. So that's a big change. And for people who think that, oh, I've never experienced anything traumatic or go through anything, this pandemic is traumatic. So just know that you're strong, you are resilient, and never let someone put you to shame because of what you have experienced or what you have shared. Because as Vicky shared her story, her
Testimony.
testimony on the live, right? Um, there's someone else on the live saying that, expressing that they too are going through this. So when we share, we give others that are hiding behind the curtain the strength to say, you know what, I need to talk to someone. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, on that note, just finishing up here, Chips with TV for tonight, I must say thanks to YouTube. People just have to use up the platform in a positive way. And it's good to have fun and, joke around, but sometimes we got to address these issues that are affecting us and our community. We absolutely need that. Vicky's saying, I'm happy that I could share minds and I will always talk about, I don't care if people are going to judge me. Troops is saying Vicky is very bold. Um, and yeah, guys, so we've come to the end of this live. I want to thank everybody for checking in. Active Gang, Tough Side, Nigel, everybody that came through. I can't call everybody's name, but bless up. Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you, ladies. I can't say enough. I appreciate it. Kayla, thank you so much for coming on and just going through this conversation with me and sharing your expertise on this topic. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, our next, heartwarming conversation. Thank you guys. We're saying bye for now.